Episode 3, One Big Team podcast. So grateful to be sitting down and engaging in this activity, which is becoming one of my favorite things to do. Opportunities here. I had a powerhouse of a guest lined up for today. And this morning she reached out. Something came up. She wasn't able to make it. First initial reaction, a little bit of frustration, a little bit of just challenge coming up, right? So it's something to navigate. Took me about a minute to then reframe and go, wow, this is a great opportunity for me to get back in the booth, do another solo episode, develop my skills, become a better speaker, and practice some resilience, right? So instead of not using the studio time, which I had already booked here at the Creative Scene, decided to go for it and then come up with a plan and ask myself, all right, if this was the only episode people were to ever listen to the One Big Team podcast, what would be so important to share? How could I potentially impact their lives in a positive way? So that is the goal of this podcast. And I also thought about one of my favorite podcast hosts is Ed Milet from the Ed Milet Show. He has interviewed some incredible people. They're all amazing episodes, but my favorite ones are his solo episodes. So I'm going to model the behavior of somebody that I would like to be like, right? He's somebody I want to be in the same room as him. So Ed, if you're out there listening, you've had a positive impact on me. And if any of my listeners know Ed, get me in touch. All right. So I wanted to move in that direction. And it also reminded me about the first time that I got the podcast going a few years ago, the original One Big Team podcast. And it was so funny because Troy and Cole, AJ, Zach, they encouraged me to get in front of the camera and go for it. And I really didn't have much hesitation. And I said, I can do this, no doubt. And then they turned the camera on for the first time to do something like I'm doing right now, talking into a camera alone. And I shelled up and I got super nervous and tight. And my self-talk, it went to all of these limiting beliefs. And it was, who do you think you are? This was my own head saying this. Who do you think you are trying to host a podcast? You can't do this. Nobody wants to listen to you. You're just a lacrosse coach. Get back out in the field. And I am so thankful that I have had great coaches, mentors, and I've taken the time to self-educate on my own inner world, my own psychology, so that I could recognize that those were limiting beliefs. However they got into my mind, they were there and they were holding me back. And I then replaced them with empowering beliefs. If I work hard at this, I can be great at this. I believe I can become an excellent podcast host, right? If I practice, I will get better. Simple shift there, but inserting those empowering beliefs. And one of the topics that I wanted to talk about today is what we teach at Mabry Academy, which is the language of mental skills. The only reason I was able to stop myself in my tracks, take a breath, pay attention to what was happening inside, and identify those limiting beliefs is because I read up on that subject, is because I was educated on those types of things. It's a language, it's a software that we can better understand. So we are extremely passionate about teaching mental skills. These things like emotional intelligence, focus, self-talk, confidence, resilience, composure, discipline, mindfulness, communication skills. All of these things are happening at all times within each of us. All right. And when we were continuing to enhance our philosophy and understanding of mental skills, one of the thoughts that we have had and we go back to, and that what we believe in is there are two things that have shaped us into the person that we are today, right? There are more, but there's really two things that are important here. The content that we have consumed and the conversations that we have. So the content we consume on a daily basis through our phone, the books we read, the TV we watch, the advertisements that are just around, these things that we take in consciously, meaning intentionally or unintentionally, they shape our psyche, the way we see ourselves, the way we see the world. So do you have more limiting beliefs or do you have more empowering beliefs? Part of how you shift into more empowering beliefs is by consuming the right content. Now, the other aspect, the conversations that we have had up to this point, conversations with your parents, family members, your teachers, your friends, your coworkers, every conversation that you've ever had has helped shape you into the person that you are today, the way you see yourself and the way you see the world. The most important conversation that we are all having at all times is the conversation with ourselves. And that is so important for shaping our psyche, our mindset, our lifestyle, everything. So when you can upgrade your language, your skill set with what we call the language of mental skills, those things that I listed, you give yourself an incredible chance to achieve more of what you want to pursue, to perform at a higher level, to be more present, to be more resilient in the face of adversity that is naturally going to be a part of life and the sport experience if you are an athlete or a coach or a parent of an athlete. So this is the direction that I want to go into this episode, right? The language of mental skills, and how I'm so thankful that I have been educated through it. And one of the ways I managed this education was through my own intention of the content that I would consume. So 23 years old, I graduate from Christopher Newport University. I come back to Northern Virginia. I get my first job at the grind, all right, the grind for strength and conditioning, performance training. And I was running the lacrosse training. And I met so many incredible students and families through this organization. Claudia was an incredible mentor to me. I have relationships with those players that I've worked with to this day. All right. Every morning, 5-6 days a week, I was driving 5 a.m. to the gym to train athletes before school and on the weekends. And I recognized, I said, wow, so much of our mind is shaped by what we take in, what we listen to, what we read. I'm doing really good at that point, really good with managing my social media intake. And I said, let me take this to another level. I'm not going to listen to music anymore in the car. I'm only going to listen to podcasts, audiobooks, and YouTube videos that are going to teach me the things that I want to learn to become the best version of myself. And I began that process. Wow. Within a year, I noticed a profound shift in my communication skills, in my knowledge, my expertise. And it was something I look back on as one of the best decisions that I've ever made. Choosing to be extremely intentional about the content that I consume. So I did that, and I did that for around 6 years, where I rarely listened to music in the car. It was always podcasts, audiobooks, or instructional, motivational YouTube videos. That was my strategy for the content. And I can say without a doubt, it helped shape me into the person that I am today and how I see the world. And the vast majority of my experience, I am at peace and I am productive. And I'm moving in a direction that is in alignment with the best version of myself. A lot of it stems from that. Then I look at the conversations that I have had. Knowing that I've consumed great content, it's fueled great conversations. So important to have great conversations, to surround yourself with excellent coaches, mentors, teammates. One of the things that I find myself encouraging parents to do all the time is you got to get your kid in the right room, the right team, with the coach that understands mental skills so that they can upgrade the content that your son or daughter is consuming and upgrade the frequent conversations they are having. But the conversation that we have with ourselves every single day, I can't think of anything more important to study and work to enhance. We are so focused on that with the language of mental skills, upgrading student athletes and everybody's ability to navigate their inner world through an enthusiastic and enjoyable and digestible process, right? So we really love teaching it, and we have a great time doing that for individuals and with teams. So language of mental skills, this thing that is happening at all times. When I go and work with a coach, one of the things I explain to them is you already teach mental skills. You probably just aren't aware of which ones you teach the most. And your coaches before you, my coaches, they taught me mental skills. They either enhanced some of them, or I'd say this, they created an environment where they could be enhanced, or they maybe had some faults where I wasn't afforded the opportunity to strengthen them as much, right? So I don't want to bash anybody here, but I will say, I will highlight some of those coaches that taught me mental skills and just didn't maybe give me the definition and texture for me to expand on it. So, one of the greatest people to ever live on this planet, John Costello, Coach Koss, who is an absolute legend, he taught character and kindness. And I remember the first day of health and PE class, freshman year of high school at Broad Run, and he's talking about character and kindness and respect. So he did give definition to those things. And he encouraged us to lean into this area of ourselves. And that when we do that, good things are going to happen. And it might be the most important place to give our attention to. And I benefited immensely from that. It actually gave me a lot of encouragement and confidence to give my attention to those things, because in other subjects, I didn't necessarily feel terribly confident in them. All right. So he introduced those to me. Coach Eddie Mason, he taught me the skill of focus. He also taught me the skill of effort and how to push past limits. Now, again, we never sat down and defined it and studied that language, but he did that for me. Every great coach enhances mental skills. And my only opinion on bad coaching is that they do the opposite, right? You're not a bad coach if you don't win games. You're a bad coach if you don't enhance mental skills. And the direction that we're going in for the academy and for the world is you better get on board, because it's time for us to serve people at the highest level. Mental skills, character development, leadership development, communication skills. It's at a premium, and it is going to help your team win more if that is your main priority. So again, mental skills, they're happening at all times within us. And we can, when we give attention to them, grow. We can become stronger, enhance performance, get to the present moment more often, be more resilient. It's an incredible thing. And that's why we're so passionate about teaching it. One Big Team Podcast is powered by Mabry Academy. We are the leaders in comprehensive player and personal development. We are experts in preparing you today for where you want to be tomorrow. We have two big programs. We have our lacrosse program, where we run comprehensive one-on-one long-term coaching, college roadmap program, and the best group training in the country, specifically right here in the DMV area. And then we also have our mental performance department, where we also work in a one-on-one capacity with teams, schools, and club organizations. And we have multiple virtual programs that you can access right now. Please check out MabryAcademy.com if you are looking to up your game and take it to the next level. Appreciate you. In the language of mental skills, one of the skill sets that we believe is the most important is this overarching theme, this amazing gift that we can give ourselves, and that is confidence. And as we've studied it, we have seen that it's very dynamic, and that there are a lot of different micro philosophies, frameworks, understandings of it. And when you study it as a whole, you give yourself a position to make it really concrete, and what a lot of sports psychologists, mental performance coaches call anti-fragile confidence, right? Meaning you really are unshakable. And in the face of adversity, you bounce back even stronger. But there's a lot of different things that play into this. So recently, the Academy, myself, we built a course called Confidence Now. And it is a downloadable virtual course, a total of 90 minutes of content, and the average video is 2 minutes long. The Confidence Now course was created to enhance what we consider the most important mental skill, but it also teaches you a lot of other skills and frameworks within it. So many frameworks, many perspectives put into this one course, and we are getting tremendous feedback and testimonials from the students that have taken it, from professional athletes down to elementary school kids with their parents, and everything in between. All right. So if you want to check that out, the Confidence Now course is available at our website. Confidence, we define it as your belief in your ability to execute a skill or overcome a challenge. And very interesting, this year was the first year I've ever heard lacrosse players use the word slump. I have been coaching almost every day of my life since 2016. And about 8 years of nonstop coaching. And I've never heard a lacrosse player until this spring say the word slump. And it wasn't just one player. I heard like 15 different kids, different teams, different parts of the country tell me, oh, I'm in a slump right now. And as I've thought about the slump, which is really a baseball thing, to me, a slump is the opposite of confidence. You are lacking belief in your ability to execute a skill or overcome a challenge. So we use this simple definition, and then we teach all of these different frameworks. And of some recent experiences that have happened, I want to pull on some of them. So a very simple framework, you'll hear your coaches talk about it. And I like it because it is true, is if you want to be confident, do hard things, do difficult things, challenge yourself, prove to yourself that you can handle adversity, you can handle difficult situations, practice being in these difficult environments. And as you overcome them, your belief in your ability to overcome a challenge is much higher. You're much more resilient. And I completely agree. So the example is Bryson DeChambeau just wins the US Open, and he barely hit any fairways off the tee, and his second shot was coming out of the rough, and it was a really difficult task. But after he had won the US Open, they're interviewing him, and he's saying he felt very prepared because he intentionally did that for years and years as a kid. He would practice on the driving range or on the course, giving himself intentionally the worst lie possible. And in the process of overcoming those difficult situations, he built up a very high belief in his ability to execute the skill of hitting out of the rough and overcome challenges, which comes along with the mental emotional response of playing in front of millions of people watching and having a really difficult shot at a position you put yourself in. So we have a system, we call it the confidence creation routine. And it's something you can do really at any point in your day as you are about to go and try to execute a skill or overcome a challenge. And the confidence creation routine is to run yourself through your preparation, run yourself through your past experiences, and then visualize the future that you want to go and achieve. One of the examples here from Bryson DeChambeau, the US Open, not only was he prepared, right? So before he goes out to compete or running through his mind while he's on the course, I'm prepared to hit this shot because he's done it so many times. The other one that really stuck out to me, on the 18th hole, he put his second shot into the fairway bunker, and he had a 55-yard bunker shot, which is one of the hardest shots in the sport of golf. He had a very narrow landing area, or it was going to be super short or roll off the back of the green. Probably a shot that every single person would dread. And he even admitted in his interview that he was dreading it after he hit the ball into the bunker. He goes, that's the worst place the ball could be. His caddy immediately starts talking to him and framing the situation. And he says, hey, I've seen you hit 50-yard bunker shots a million times. You've literally done this exact shot so many times. I've seen you hit harder shots. You can go do this one time. And he acknowledged that that quick conversation was the reframe needed to go, yes, I have done this before and I can go do it again. And that's where pulling on past success to generate this feeling, this belief in your ability to go execute a skill or overcome a challenge. So I oftentimes with players will just remind them of their past success. I've had players call me as recent as this week before a tournament, before a game, go, yeah, I'm not feeling confident. And we'll go through the confidence creation routine. And I will ask them afterwards, authentically, how do you feel now? Is your belief higher than it was? And the answer is always yes. The power of our self-talk, the power of our visualization, power of our memory is so strong. And we could use it to generate this feeling of confidence and show up at our best when it means the most to us. So the last piece there, visualization. The way that I like to think about it is we always have a mental image in our mind. We are always doing some form of daydreaming, or at least the vast majority of the day. At least I do. And I have just worked to train myself, and I work to educate the players and teams we work with to fuel really clear sound images of what it is that you want to have happen. And if you can do that confidence creation routine for yourself, run through your preparation. Okay, for these reasons, I'm ready to go. I've worked hard. This is the amount of time and hours I've put in. My craft is dialed in. Great. Past success. Have you demonstrated the skill before? Have you executed it before? Have you overcome the challenge before? Run yourself through that. Great, great, great. As you're doing this, you're doing instructional and potentially motivational self-talk. And then can you take a moment and visualize exactly what it is that you want to have happen? As crystal clear as possible, as vivid as possible. And then can you go do your absolute best to obtain that, to achieve that? And I find that the answer is yes. We all have the power to go through the confidence creation routine and achieve those things. Now, last night we were running a program, our Cognitive Climb series, which is really where we teach the language of mental skills. It's one of our main programs. And the idea of the Cognitive Climb series was to, and is to, enhance the content that people consume. We want to provide 20 minutes a week of very sound, inspirational, educational content for student athletes to absorb so that they can go have the chance to be at their best when it means the most to them and every single day going forward. So we get on calls Monday nights, 8:30 p.m. East Coast time, and we run them through the language of mental skills. Each month, we have a different topic. We go for 20 minutes each week. The month of June is leadership. So our theme is the Leadership Lab. And last night, I was running the session, part 3, Leadership Lab, and we covered the skill of framing. And the best coaches in the world, the best leaders in the world do this. Best parents in the world do this. And the examples that we gave is after a loss, right? You as a team captain, you as a coach, you want to get up in front of your organization and get them to see the same mental image and to say things like, hey, we're going to be better now because of this experience. Going forward, all of these lessons learned are going to serve us. We're a much better team now. Hey, I've identified the reasons why we lost this game. We won't let it happen again. This is what it's going to do for us going forward. That is a very clear and concise and direct direction for your team to go towards and move in. Before a game, all right, framing, walking by your players and being able to say, hey, remember last week when you had that one shot and you stung the corner? Yeah, coach, I remember. Good. You can go do that 10 times today. I believe in you. Actually, I know you're going to go do that today. You're framing the future. You're putting a mental image in their mind. And we are always in this process of framing. And when I have worked with and studied under Dr. Benjamin Hardy, he talks about our past, present, and future. And this is something that we've worked with a lot of our teams on, framing them up appropriately so that you can be at your best, achieve your full potential, move closer to your future self. And when we frame up our past, it serves us and our organization, our team, our family, our community best to frame things through a lens of gratitude, growth, and strength. So you lose a game that's now in the past. Hey, really grateful that we got the opportunity to compete together. Any time spent together is good time. I'm so excited for the growth that's going to come forward from these lessons learned. We will be a stronger team because of what we just experienced. That would be an example of how to frame up the past so that it serves you and your team going forward. And then framing the future in a very clear, concise manner, anchored towards optimism and your goals and confidence. So when you speak about the game coming up next week or your day coming up, my favorite thing from Dr. Daniel Amen is today's going to be a great day. He says it's one of the best things that you can do for your overall brain and life health is every day wake up and say the words, today is going to be a great day. You are framing the future in a more optimistic lens. And today's going to be a great day because I'm going to act in alignment with my core values. I'm going to give my best effort in whatever it is that I'm doing. I will be ultra present. I'll catch myself when I get distracted. Wow. So now we're incorporating, right, back to the language of mental skills. We're incorporating framing and goal setting and gratitude and wins, because wins is a strategy looking at our past and identifying the habits and behaviors that are leading us to success. And when we focus on our wins and realize we're stacking them, we're more motivated, we are more inclined to stick to the long-term process of goal achievement. So framing as a part of leadership, as a part of mental skills, and leadership being your ability to influence others in a positive way, for a simple definition there. I really believe that the framing skill is at the forefront. The other one comes from the success formula, right? We talked about last week, role clarity. Your number one role is to be a confidence builder for yourself and for others. This is what I would like to see for people. I know I'm at my best when I do this routine. I get myself hyped up. And the first part is going through my confidence creation routine, my preparation, my past success, and then visualizing what it is that I want to accomplish. Then I go do that for others. All right. So I'm going to walk by people and remind them of their preparation, the work that we've put in over the years, the repetition this week in practice, whatever it might be. I'm going to walk up to other players in the field and I'm going to remind them of their past success, that they have executed this skill before. Going back to the definitions, your belief in your ability to execute a skill or overcome a challenge. I'm going to remind them of how many times they've executed that skill or how many times they've overcome challenges similar to this in the past, and get that memory at the forefront of their mind. And then I'm going to put images in of them having success in the future. So now we're combining a little bit of confidence curriculum with leadership and framing. And you can see how, okay, this really is a language that people can speak. And I love meeting hyper successful people and sharing this with them because they speak this language, right? Every person that I've been around that has found accomplishment and success in their life speaks this language. They might just not know it yet, right? Any winning team speaks this language. And what we're so passionate about is helping young people and families and schools and organizations integrate this framework, this software, this language, so that you can upgrade your conversations, conversation you have with yourself, the conversation you have with others. Then you can be more intentional about the content you consume. You can strengthen the way you see yourself and the way that you see the world. And because of that, you can take great action and make a difference in your life and in the lives of other people. So some overarching thoughts there on the language of mental skills and how they are present. And we have the opportunity to engage with them every day. One of the strategies where this can be demonstrated is one of my favorites, the BPO, best possible outcome. All right. So this was a strategy designed specifically to shift the thinking of a group. All right. I wanted this team and for myself to have something that we could go back to get out of the mud, get into the clouds, practice our imagination, practice getting into our future self. And it has shown to be a very, very effective strategy. For me, it's on the back of my phone, it's on my wallet, it's on my journal. When I see the sticker, it reminds me, I go, wow, man, I kind of am daydreaming about some negative things right now. I kind of am living at like a 50 when I really want to be thinking at a 100. I want to be thinking clear in gold of how bright my future is going to be and how much success this endeavor is going to bring forth. So the best possible outcome. What is the best possible outcome of this podcast? Specifically this episode, something rings true for you, the listener, right now. It has a massive positive impact within you, and it encourages you to shift and step closer to the best version of yourself. Now, that would be a really good one. That really is the goal, that one person is profoundly shifted, impacted from this podcast. But I'm not going to stop there because the BPO doesn't stop, because it can get better. And that's where the imagination comes in. That's where the expansive thinking comes in. So you've had this profound shift, this profound change after hearing this podcast. Well, now you're really encouraged to share it with others. So maybe you go and purchase the Confidence Now course. We appreciate it. And you learn more and you go, whoa, I understand this software, this language, this framework even more. And then you go, well, I'm going to join the Cognitive Climb community. Now you're part of that. So now every week you're studying mental skills. You're so inspired. You now are helping the academy get into more organizations, but not just the academy. You're moving forward this prioritization that mental skills and communication skills, leadership skills, character development should be at the forefront of our education system. And now we're really making some change. And we have a great friendship. That would be the BPO. All right. So that you reach out, you have that great change. You're motivated, inspired. You join the academy through some of our other programs. You then become an advocate for mental skills training, and we go on this great journey together, and we're friends for life. That was pretty fun. I enjoyed that exercise. All right. Best possible outcome for this podcast would be that it grows every single episode. We reach more and more people. For myself, I'm able to sit closely and intently with incredible guests and distill their wisdom in a digestible way so that it impacts you for the rest of your life. Just like those podcasts that I've been consuming for the past 7-8 years, almost daily, have changed my psyche, have changed my mindset, have changed the way I see myself, what's possible for me, what's possible for the world. That would be a good BPO. Could it be better? Sure. Should I go down that route? Why not? BPO of the podcast, beyond sitting with those guests, I maybe form an incredible relationship with some of these guests. And because of that connection, they then help the academy grow. And we are now reaching more people than ever. And because we're doing great work, there are other coaches and organizations out there who are also doing great work. And we all win because we are supporting our community in a really impactful way. And in that process, we are changing, we're shifting this paradigm and putting the most important things first, which is our mental wellness, our lifestyle. That has taken a backseat for far too long. So the BPO is that. And I'm fired up to go and pursue that. So when we do that strategy with players, really similar to what it looks like right there. I would say I've spent a lot of time engaged in the BPO. So being able to daydream like that isn't too difficult for me. But I have had conversations with students and teams, and that is a challenge for them to imagine that far into the future and be that expansive in their thinking. Well, that's okay. That's where they are on that day. But I'm going to help them. My team is going to help them be a more expansive thinker and identify limiting beliefs, just like I used to have about being in front of this camera, and insert the empowering beliefs, just like I had to do today when I messed up and I got in here and I was a little bit nervous. I had to fuel myself with the proper thoughts, the proper guidelines so that I could show up and be my best. And now I'm in a flow, right? The BPO is flowing. And one of my absolute favorite things to do is to study wise people, right? Success leaves clues. You can learn so much from the books, the YouTube videos, the podcasts, and observing, taking notes on people who have been doing this for a long time, people who are experts in whatever field you are curious about. And it was somewhat recently, I think in the past year, Tony Robbins, who is without a doubt one of the most influential people of all time, specifically in the space of personal development, success, lifestyle, mindset. And I have been following Tony's body of work since I was in college, so 12 years maybe. And going back to his older work from when I was a kid and just observing and reading all of it. And this is what is so cool about studying people. Tony now, I think, is 65 and a master of his craft and has a lifetime of wisdom and experiences, trial and error, studying from mentorship from others to put together his philosophy. And what he landed on most recently is there's only 3 things we can control: the way we move our body, our physiology, which includes our breathing and our posture, and the environment we put our body in. So whether that's an ice bath or his famous thing is walking on fire. So we control our body, our physiology. We can control what we focus on. We can control where that mental attention goes, and we control the way that we speak. And how simple is that? This man's life experience, his career experience, the studies that he has been a part of, the impact he's had, and he can boil it down to those 3 things. And those 3 things we can enhance to the nth degree when it comes to the language of mental skills. And one of my favorite mental performance coaches is Brian Kane. And he is always talking about the BFS system, which is exactly what Tony's talking about: body language, focus, and self-talk. 3 things that are happening at all times. We talk about this in the Confidence Now course. I can fix my body language, sit up a little bit taller. All right. The way we move impacts our mood and the way that we feel. It even impacts what we focus on. Now my focus fully present right here. doing my best, right? I'm running through my preparation, my past success. My self-talk is tied to my focus, right? I'm going to use the big three: I am, I love, I will. And the more I personally engage in that BFS system and I assess where I'm at, then I make proper adjustments to be my most confident version, the better. Okay. So we are all experiencing that at all times. Mental skills are happening at all times. Content that we're consuming is happening at all times. Let's be intentional about it. It's something that I'm going to talk about a lot going forward. Conversations. Well, the one that you're having with yourself right now is always happening. We are, in some variation, always in a state of mental imagery and visualization and projecting what we're going to move towards in the future. We can learn this language. We can thrive because of it. I've seen it time and time again with the people that put in the time. So whether you want to join us in a one-on-one student capacity, in a team or organization development capacity, in our Cognitive Climb program and get weekly calls, or the Confidence Now course and go at your own pace, myself, my team at Mabry Academy, we have resources ready to help. We are so passionate and committed to furthering mental skills training in the youth sports experience, and we're really good at it. And we're really excited about the opportunity to serve you. And I'm super fired up that this podcast is going to reach the millions and the millions and the billions of people to have a massive positive impact. That's the BPO. I appreciate all of you so much. Please do the whole like, subscribe, share, follow, send it to your friends, send it to your grandmother, anyone that you think it would help. I appreciate you. We will see you next time.